Ukraine recaptures a village in the Luhansk region as Russia loses full control of the disputed eastern area. Lebanon's banks close for 3 days as its currency falls even further, and angry customers demand access to savings. The Swedish centre-right moderates party are faced with the difficult task of forming a coalition government which may include an alliance with the far right. Moscow has denounced fresh strikes in eastern Ukraine against areas they once controlled, like in Donetsk, where Russian-backed authorities claim that 13 people died. Ukraine's army has recaptured a village close to the eastern city of Lysychansk, in a small but symbolic victory that means Russia no longer has full control of the Luhansk region.
In Kharkiv, we are stabilizing the situation, holding our positions firmly, so strongly that the occupiers are probably panicking. Well, we warned the Russian military in Ukraine has only 2 options: escape from our land or captivity. The collaborators have similar options. Either they will try to escape, and it remains to be seen whether Russia will let them into its territory, even if they gave their passports, or the collaborators will become convicted under Ukraine's laws.
On Monday, civic chambers in the self-proclaimed republics of Luhansk and Donetsk called on the Russian-backed heads of their regions to hold referendums on joining Russia.
Donbass residents made their choice already in 2014 at the referendum on self-determination of the Luhansk People's Republic. We have been waiting and hoping all these years that the second referendum will definitely come. We'll make our dream of coming back home to Russia true.
Meanwhile, Kiev claims Russian forces have carried out a missile strike that narrowly missed a nuclear power plant in the Mykolaiv region of southern Ukraine. Ukraine's state nuclear power company said 3 reactors at the plant continued to operate and nobody was injured.
The green light is go after Sweden's moderate party was given the go-ahead to try and form a new government, despite coming third in last week's elections. The leader of the country's centre-right party, Ulf Kristersson, will now try to enter a coalition with the Liberals and Christian Democrats. But the big question on everyone's lips is what role the far-right Sweden Democrats will play, who came ahead of the moderate party in second place.
If they are a parliamentary backing outside of the government, it will still give them quite substantial veto power over policies that is pursued by the government.
As climate change deniers and a strong anti-migrant stance, the Sweden Democrats could push to override the policies of the outgoing centre-left government. And this isn't only at a domestic level, but also at an EU level.
They are a Eurosceptic party, which means that they are reluctant to give any other new issues to be part of European decision-making when they are deemed better to dealt with at the national level. But then also, if you look at some of those big issues facing us, we know that on climate and environment, they are perhaps less ambitious. They have been less outspoken when it comes to issues of rule of law. And the Sweden Democrats, as well as the center-right in Swedish politics, they are very skeptical about giving more room for social policy and those issues at the European level.
There is consensus, however, among all parties in Sweden that it should join NATO and maintain its alignment with the EU regarding Russia and the war in Ukraine. But when the Stockholm government assumes the presidency of the Council of the EU from January next year, it could have an extra far-right ally in Italy, which will hold elections on Sunday. Christopher Pitchers, Euronews, Brussels.
The White House has confirmed the release of American contractor Mike Frericks, who had been held hostage in Afghanistan for over 2 years by the Taliban. His release follows a prisoner exchange deal for a convicted Taliban drug lord jailed in the United States. The swap reflects ongoing efforts on behalf of the Biden administration to bring home US citizens detained overseas.
After more than 2 decades behind bars, an American judge has ordered the release of Adnan Syed, the subject of the hit true crime podcast Serial. In her ruling, she said that the state did not meet its legal obligation to share evidence with Syed's legal team that could have bolstered his defense when he was on trial for the 1999 murder of high school student Ha Min Lee. Prosecutors have 30 days to decide if they want to pursue a new trial or dismiss the case.
Lebanese banks have closed their doors for 3 days from Monday due to mounting security concerns. The Lebanese pound fell to a new low against the US dollar as a severe economic downturn has sparked bank hold-ups by angry depositors and anti-government protesters.
We are waiting for an answer. So far, we don't know what happened to the case. They asked for his father to come before making a decision. God willing, the judge will make the right decision. As we will not get out of here without blood.
We came to support the 3 men arrested who were the victims of this banking system. The system that destroyed every Lebanese citizen. In recent weeks, people armed with real or toy guns held up banks to demand access to their frozen savings, only to be celebrated as folk heroes afterwards. Activists angered by Lebanon's deep economic crash blocked roads in the capital and in the northern port city of Tripoli. A financial crash widely blamed on government corruption and mismanagement has caused the worst economic crisis in Lebanon's history.
Protesters in Iran smashed windows and set fire to vehicles following the death of a young woman who had been arrested by the morality police, which enforces strict dress codes. State media reported that Mahsa Amini, who was 22, died in hospital after 3 days in a coma following her arrest by Tehran police during a visit to the capital. The morality police responsible for enforcing Iran's strict dress code for women have faced growing criticism over its excessive use of force. In July, they banned women from wearing coats that did not cover the knees, ripped jeans, and brightly coloured outfits.
Let us commend to the mercy of God, our Maker and Redeemer, the soul of Elizabeth, our late Queen.
On the day of Queen Elizabeth's final farewell, the emotion was palpable, and so was the anticipation. Everyone wanted a glimpse of the procession and one last chance to say goodbye. And when she came, people here could feel the weight of history.
It was a fitting tribute to an amazing reign from a wonderful, wonderful lady.
I was in tears, then happiness now. We've got through it. We'll never see anything like that again.
I think this is probably the biggest part of history that I'll remember in my lifetime.
And we all loved her terribly. We loved her terribly. We will miss her, but she will never be forgotten. And that's a great send-off, isn't it? Wonderful, lovely.
So I wanted to get the moment to actually see the Queen's coffin passing me. So I held the phone, got it in position, then I ignored the phone and just looked straight at the coffin. But to be honest, I broke down straight away because I just felt like losing my grandmother, you know.
A grandmother, a leader, a symbol. So much meaning attributed to the Queen and her international fame. People came from all over the world for this moment.
I think for me it was a much needed closure in such beautiful pageantry form that we don't see over in the States. But for me it's helping to heal the heart.
It will take time for some here to heal and to measure whether those who stayed behind will be able to fill such big shoes. For now, many will perhaps come to understand a notion the Queen herself so often referred to, that grief is the price to pay for love. Annalise Borges in London for Euronews.